What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. Now, today I'm going to talk about what it's actually like to work in the game industry and how to get into the game industry if you so happen to desire to do this. Now, why am I talking about this when I normally talk about languages? Is because, well, I talk about, my work every now and then on this channel, and everyone's like, oh my god, Evildea, I just spent 24 hours gooning off the hentai. I want to make a hentai game. How do I get into it? Hold your horses. First, wash your hands. Now, let's get back to reality. So, you want to get into the game industry. Now, first, you need to figure out what you want to do in the game industry, okay? So, working on a game usually requires a specific number of roles, 4 in total, okay? Now, these can be split up into a variant amount of other roles, but there's like 4 major categories, okay? So, you got the programmers. He makes shit move, he makes stuff fucking happen, and then also he cleans up everyone else's mistake, okay? Everyone else fucks up, and it's the programmer at the end of the day who needs to clean it up. Even if he's not an artist, he will need to clean that up. Doesn't matter what the problem is, he's the guy who has to clean it up. If you haven't figured it out so far, that's what I do. I'm a programmer, okay? Next up, you got artists. Artists make shit look pretty. They exist in their own universe. They will hyper-focus in on making something absolutely beautiful that will not at all, in any shape or form, appear in the final product. But they spent a lot of time on it, and they love it. And now they're sad because you just critiqued it. Next up, we have the designer. Now, his job is, are you ready for it? To make a cool game. So he documents what a cool game looks like, but what they end up doing a lot of the time is fucking micromanaging shit when they shouldn't be doing it. It's actually hard to find really good designers because if a designer's bad, he will just end up trying to micromanage people, okay? And then finally we have QA, and QA is quality control or quality assurance. Now, a lot of you guys, if you watch these shitty, slop YouTube channels where they talk about the game industry and the culture war and all this type of stuff, you'll hear them talk about this and that game and how it's failing, blah, blah, blah. And maybe they'll mention a QA person every now and then and they'll shit on QA. They'll be, oh, he's just a fucking QA. QA is like the silent heroes of a game, okay? Because me as a programmer, I'll make a ton of shit, I'll fucking do it quickly because I got the designer hounding my ass type of thing. The artist will be slapping stuff in there, and then the QA is the guy who's got to sit down and retest the same sequence of events over and over and over to the point where he wants to rip out his own eyes just to figure out why, in this one specific instance, if he steps on this tile, he ends up upside down inside a wall. Okay, so they do a lot of work. And here's the thing. Most game companies, if they're small, they don't even hire QA. And this is the thing that will save them at the end of the day. You could have the best everything, and there's one critical bug in there. If you don't have someone who figures that out on launch, you're fucked, mate. Okay, so that's basically the 4 roles. So have you figured out what role you want to take on yet? Okay? By the way, before you select based on what sounds cool, there's another component to this. Money. Mullah. Okay, so if you want to make money, first up, don't go in the game industry. Seriously. Find a different job, my man, okay? You're not going to get rich in the game industry. But if you're desperate enough and good enough, maybe you'll make some money at the end of the day. But let's talk about realistic. A programmer in the game industry with the same level of skill set outside the game industry will make double what he makes in the industry. That's pretty much how it is, okay? So you really got to be in it for the passion type of thing. Next up, you got artists. Yeah, they don't really make much money. Really, ever. So if you want to be an artist in the game industry, just prepare to work a lot, probably randomly be fired and not make a lot of money. And you're most likely going to be outsourced off to some 3D company over in, I don't know, the Philippines or Vietnam or something like that. You will most likely be outsourced unless you are the absolute pinnacle, the best of the best, and then you can end up in an outsourcing company. Okay, so next up we got designers. Funnily enough, designers actually get paid not as good as programmers, but they do get paid pretty well. And surprisingly, there is roles available for them. And then lastly, QA, they don't get paid so well, usually. Most people go in the QA actually are trying to skip, formal training and jump into one of the other roles, like programming or art or something like that. And that's how they're usually, lured into the role. But it's pretty rare someone jumps from QA into one of those other roles because, obviously, you need to do a lot of learning. Okay, so now you know, basically, working in the game industry, you will not make money. You will work more hours than most other people. And if you're really, really, really good, you will have a job. That's pretty much it. Okay, so how do you get into the industry? Well, obviously you could go self-taught and then go apply for interviews and stuff like that. But realistically, what you want to do, okay, is you want to find an academy or some specialized school or something like that to go through formal training. Why through formal training? Well, it's not necessarily for the training, it's for the contacts. And when you go through that training, make sure you're the best fucking person in the class, or at least one of the best, okay? Because most people are going to step out of that and not get a job. Okay? And then there will be occasionally a company that will want to hire graduates. And guess who they're going to hire? Whoever fucking wins awards or is the best. So for those very few little jobs that exist, you want to be the best. You want to have the best portfolio. Do not take this an exercise in just having fun and partying with your friends, because the vast majority of people who go through will never get a job. Now, programmers, they're usually okay at the end. If they don't get a job in the game industry, they could just go work somewhere else, okay? You know, like you can take your programming experience to any other industry. An artist, where are you going to take that? To the film industry? You might make a little bit more in the film industry, maybe, but it is actually pretty big of a skill set change. Like, it does take a pretty big conversion. Now, QA, of course, you could probably work anywhere as well. Designers, you're fucked. You got to be a good designer if you want a job. If you don't get a job by the time you've finished your training, you're probably never getting a job, okay? And a lot of this industry is all about contacts. So first, you either get in via being the best, or you get in via contacts. Now, there will be some positions that are posted online, but they are in the minority. Most of these like jobs are through people that know people. So I'd be like, let's say I'm in a position and they need another programmer. This person's going to be working with me. We're all going to be working like long hours and shit. I'm going to make sure I bring in someone that I trust, that I know I've worked with. I'm not going to fuck around and bring some random in type of thing. Like, the amount of times I've been given, what are they called? Like work experience? They're not really work experience. It's like where you get a job, but you're not getting paid. But if you do well, you get the job. I forget the name of that, okay? There's a proper word for it. It's probably illegal, but like there is a word for it. Anyway, so like the amount of times I've had people come in, you know, they've done university, they come in with like a bunch of theory training, basically very little practical, and within like one day I have to be like, yeah, get rid of them. They're useless, okay? Like, I don't have time to train this person up type of thing. Now, another thing is, if you work in the game industry, you get to the top, again, money's an issue. So realistically, you're probably going to end up working in the gambling industry eventually, because the gambling industry will hire en masse from the gaming industry. So they'll take the best talent from the gaming industry and double the pay. Because, like, obviously gambling machines and all these types of things, they got games on them, yeah? And that shit uses the same types of engines as pretty much the gaming industry. So they will go grab the best and just be like, yeah, here's double the money, because they got the money to throw around. And then they'll just take the best talent. So for gaming company-wise, you basically got three different strands of companies. You got like the tiny little game company. It's basically a garage company. It's a startup. It could have been a start for like 20 years, but like it's a garage company. It's really small, less than like 10 people working there type of thing, maybe even less than that. Then you got the mid-size one, which will be, you know, like maybe 20 plus type of thing. And then you got the behemoths. These are like the big international giants that are, they're well established, okay? But there's not many, although they're big, once people get roles, they kind of try to stick around. So most new people, obviously, when they come in, they're going to come in through these garage companies or through these like mid-sized companies. Now, these mid-sized companies and stuff, they're basically getting bought out en masse by crypto companies and shit like this. So you got to deal with that. You're going to be probably working with crypto at some point. Like, even if you don't want to, you're going to be working with crypto, otherwise you're out of the industry. The garage companies, you might get paid. That's the thing. You'll be working on some cool shit. You'll probably prototype so much stuff, and you'll learn the most in those smaller companies compared to the bigger ones. Because once you get to the bigger ones, what you'll end up doing is basically working on one specific task and getting like really like proficient at the task, and you're having no real idea of how this is working in the giant scheme of things. But in the small companies, you'll do everything. Like, you'll be like, you may end up building the prototype for an entire game, okay? And then be moved on to something else. Or you may come in to fix someone else's work who quit because they didn't get paid on time for 3 months in a row. So, like, this is the game industry, okay? And that's what it is in Australia. I have no idea what it's like in America or like in the European Union or whatever. But overall, it's an industry filled with a bunch of people that are highly passionate, and then a bunch of people who they have the money and they're willing to use people's passion, okay? And a lot of these companies are just outselling, or they're selling themselves up to crypto companies, or if they're not selling themselves to crypto companies, they're basically doing crypto projects. So expect a shite ton of crypto games in the future. That's pretty much unavoidable. That's just pretty much it. And then, yeah, if you get really well, you will end up working in the gambling industry. Okay, cool. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I gave you some passion and, hope for the future. If you're curious about why I got into the game industry, it's because, well, I played World of Warcraft. I used to work in sysadministration. I ran an IT team and all that type of stuff. And then after a while, I just got kind of tired of that. And I also saw that shit was getting, outsourced en masse, and, I didn't see a future for it. And I was playing a ton of World of Warcraft, and I was like, I want to work for Blizzard. This is back when Blizzard was still cool. This is around the time when they made, what was it, the first 2 expansions or whatever. The games, everything seemed pretty cool back then. Even people, when I first got into industry, were talking about how so-and-so got a job over at Blizzard. That was the big cool thing. Nowadays, it's I've heard what happens over at Blizzard. It's kind of a meat grinder. Don't want to work there anymore. Anyway, would love to hear from anyone else who works in the industry, specifically, I guess, outside of Australia, because, I'd like to know if the experiences are the same. If they're better, I may start doing international work. And I'll see you all in the next video. And if there is a topic you want me to talk about, just ask, okay? And if I have time, and I'm not going to talk about some random language shit, I may talk about it. I'll see you all in the next video. If you're not there, I will stab you with... What do I have at hand right now? Oh, I'm going to do something like the Pitch Black movie, where I'm just going to, break this shit off here. And I'm going to stab you with that, and I'll put the bottle there for the next guy as a warning that I killed someone with this, but there's still this remaining.